It's not every day an Apple executive admits to widespread confusion over new policies related to fighting child pornography. Yet, here we are.
I grant you, in hindsight, introducing these two features at the same time.
I've made a severe and continuous.
No. No, you're not. Not yet.
So CSAI scanning, a lot of companies, because they host, like, if you all use Google and Dropbox, companies like them who host free cloud storage. And because they host free cloud storage, inevitably it opens up the floodgates of creepers posting pictures of children online.
Why not other illegal activity in whatever country your phone is residing in?
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
It's a noble idea, but it's the slippery slope argument. This software easily could be moved to anything that you would ever care to take a picture of.
Apple held a private conference. They basically just went to a bunch of academics who are into like cryptography and stuff and bragged to them and said, hey, we made this thing which can be used to scan CP. Isn't it great? The tweet they use is from Matthew Green. He's a cryptographer from Johns Hopkins University. They will make a hash of photos. This is not unusual. When you use a service like the Institute for Missing People, what happens is you can't upload the actual photo because you're technically transmitting child pornography. That's illegal. So what you do instead is you upload something like the SHA-256 checksum instead, and then that's compared to their databases to see if it matches any known images. When you use Google or like Yandex or Baidu or Bing, what they're doing is they are actually looking at the pixels in the image and seeing, well, does this thing resemble a child? Does this thing resemble a zebra?
So what they have is they have a database of, I don't know, like hundreds of thousands of images or something, and all of those images have a hash associated with them and some kind of a way of generating that hash. And if you have any kind of an image that is within a reasonable tolerance of one of those images, so like, just because you converted a PNG to a JPEG, which is lossy, doesn't mean that you've overcome it. It still basically looks like the same image, so it will create the same hash, and then that database is checked. So in other words, they've effectively created a list of illegal photos.
Without transmitting illegal photos.
So in other words, if you have that same picture of a windmill and it's off-center, like you have a different picture of the windmill that's really close to it, but, like taken at the same time of day from a different angle, it still might set off the photo DNA.
But the problem with something like photo DNA is we don't know a lot about it, right? And I would argue that is the bigger problem with systems like this. We don't know how they're doing what they're doing.
Let's just assume that they're doing so like, just for the sake of argument, let's assume that they're doing everything kosher and that the system works perfectly, which are huge assumptions, but let's work with that. Like, say, I don't know, a country like, say, China decided that they didn't want pictures of really controversial images to be displayed, like, say, Tiananmen Square or Winnie the Pooh. What is to stop them from coming up with some kind of an exploit that would modify that reference table to create banned images?
So Matthew Green actually wrote this December 2 years ago. So the example that he uses is he shows here, this is a photo of his iPhone. His iPhone uses the onboard AI processing, and you can actually read about this they have a document related to how artificial intelligence is used on your iPhone. The onboard processor on the A14, the AX chip of whatever phone you're using, and the M1 identify images.
And I'm assuming that the way that Apple has simply done is added a CP tag, which then tags a file potentially as being CP. Ars Technica talks about it. One of their lines says, the changes will roll out later, quote, later this year in update to iOS 15, iPadOS 15, watchOS 8, and macOS Monterey, Apple said. Apple will also deploy software that can analyze images and messages for a new system that will, quote, warn children and their parents when receiving or sending sexually explicit photos.
If you are a customer that is using iCloud Photo Library, which you don't have to, but if you're using iCloud Photo Library to store your photos in the cloud.
Like, if I start texting my girlfriend, do I then do my parents then get flagged, even though I'm very, both of us are very clearly of age? Do my parents get notified when I'm doing that sort of thing? Let's just say that, your parent is overbearing. You kind of get strong-armed into not doing something because, Apple has this feature. And I came up with that idea in 20 seconds of thinking about it. Imagine what people are going to do with that kind of technology with, days and, research papers about it. I cannot see this not being exploited.
You meet a threshold of something on the order of 30 known child pornographic images matching. Only then does Apple know anything about your account and know anything about those images. And at that point,
Apple receives hashes, which are neural hashes, which is their stupid marketing term for hashes. Neural hashes go through a series of transformations that include a blinding step with elliptic curve cryptography, which is complete nonsense, by the way, because they don't tell you which algorithm they're using.
and what comes out of that is basically some gobbledygook. But that thing is wrapped up in what we call safety voucher. And when the photo is stored, so is the safety voucher.
But what we're looking for is the verification of how do you obtain new images, right? And how do we stop people from abusing it?
And it's it doesn't matter whether it's, at that point, it doesn't matter whether it's anonymized and, only handled on your device. If you can accurately come to the conclusion that, hey, yeah, this person is thinking about, I don't know, joining Christianity, well, who's to say that your phone doesn't report that to the government?
What if they make a special version for one of these certain countries?
Yeah, what's to say your phone doesn't get jailbroken and China says, look, you can't run your device in our country unless you have this kernel or something. Or you better yet, you can't run this device in our country unless you have our Chinese profile. It just won't let you. That has all of these special tweaks done to it. If it was just the thing that Apple says that it is, it would be fine. But it can't just be the thing that Apple says that it is.
Because in order for it to work, there has to be some
punishment
is delivered.
It is something that will, by nature of what it is, be a thing that has to be updated, and a thing that is evolving and changing, in which case there's no way you can implement that evolving and changing thing that I feel like I basically understand how it works, and I don't have a technical knowledge of it. Or, I'm a big 3-letter organization that wants to keep tabs on people. I'm just going to have this, I'm gonna search for these things, and I'm gonna have it report these things when it sees them. We're dealing with hashed images right now. There's a lot you could do with that.
I don't even understand the whole thing completely, and it scares me. Just reading some of the stuff that's going on here. Because they claim they're getting it from known CSAM collection services, but they don't say what they are. They could be doing something completely different, and the system isn't audited.